What if I told you there's a TCG that breaks traditional battle mechanics with just two stats, strength and agility? Today, I'm breaking down Elekin's revolutionary combat system that throws a classic beatdown gameplay out the window. In most trading card games, the beatdown meta rules, and no matter how strategic you build your deck or how many card interactions you have, someone could come in with a mindless deck and wipe out hours of deck building that you just put in. This not only causes lack of interest in gameplay, but also invokes pay-to-win scenarios that plagues the TCG industry to date. So we've designed Elekin to fix this foundational problem with a simplistic solution. Meet our two-stat system, strength and agility. Strength determines how much damage is dealt and how much damage is taken before a creature is destroyed. Agility determines the speed of a creature and opens up many tactical opportunities that we'll cover in this video. So, starting off with actions. Every creature enters the battlefield with an action unless specifically said otherwise by a card effect. All creatures with an action are denoted in the vertical position. All creatures without an action are denoted in the horizontal position and are considered exhausted. During your main phase 1 every turn, you restore the actions to all creatures you control. You can use your creature's attacks to attack, block, defend, or dodge. When it's your turn, your only action with a creature during the battle phase is to attack and choose a target. You may choose any creature or shield your opponent controls as a valid target. If your opponent does not have any shields remaining, then you can target their life points directly. Creatures do not prevent you from attacking a shield or life points directly. This is crucial when deck building, because you can have the strongest cards in your deck that can't be taken down, but if they're too slow, then they can't stop an attack going to your shields or life points from being taken down. Now, moving on to the defending side of things. When your opponent declares an attack, if you have a creature with an available action, you can block, defend, or dodge, but only if your creature's agility is higher than the attacker's. So let's break down what this means, let's go through a battle example, and let's show you just how important agility is. Let's start with blocking and defending. This is best described with an example using actual cards. Let's take Nimblefoot and Aquadart. Here, your opponent is about to attack Aquadart with their Nimblefoot, and you still have an available action with Aquadart. So once the attack is declared, then we'll enter battle for these creatures. Nimblefoot declares an attack on Aquadart. You now have two options given your current situation. Since Aquadart has an available action, you can choose to dodge the attack, thus using your action, or defend against Nimblefoot. If you dodge, the Nimblefoot's attack will miss, and both creatures will now be exhausted. It's important to note that a dodge attack is a missed attack, and it does not go on to hit another target. Your other option, if you were to not dodge, would be to defend. If you were to defend, then you'd engage in combat, and you would take the stats 1v1. So, Nimblefoot's agility of 40 versus Aquadart's agility of 60. Aquadart would go first. Aquadart would deal 65 damage to Nimblefoot's 85 health. Nimblefoot would be down to 20 health. Then, Nimblefoot would attack Aquadart, dealing 85 damage, thus destroying Aquadart. In resolution, Aquadart would go to your discard pile, and Nimblefoot would be exhausted. So dodging would definitely be your best option here, but I just wanted to show you what the defending option could look like and what it'll look like later on when you actually go in and play. Also, defending is much more useful when you pair it with a counter or instant ruin card to take down your opponent in the process. So be on the lookout for your opponent's ruins and counter zone and make sure they don't have anything placed face down when you go ahead and declare an attack.
Let's move on to the blocking scenario. Blocking occurs when you have two or more creatures on your field. Let's take an example where we have Lavrock versus Aquadart and Dumols, where your opponent has Lavrock and you have Aquadart, who is exhausted on your field, and Dumols with an available action. Your opponent targets Aquadart for the attack. Since you cannot defend or dodge with Aquadart, your only option will be to let Lavrock attack Aquadart, destroying it, or have Dumol step in and block for Aquadart. Keep in mind that if a creature you control is exhausted when being attacked, that it does not fight back. Agility is nullified on an exhausted creature, and strength is only used for its health. As for the scenario, let's step back in and block Lavrock's attack with Dumols. This changes the target of the attack from Aquadart to Dumols. The new combat is now Lavrock versus Dumols. The most important thing to note about blocking is that Dumols is able to step in and block because its agility is higher than the attacker. Also, blocking creatures do not fight back, so this will result in Lavrock dealing 145 damage to Dumols, which in turn would kill Dumols. However, as soon as Dumols goes and blocks for Aquadart, we activate its effect, Protective Blast, which says, when blocking for another creature, gain 75 strength until the end of the turn. As soon as Dumols goes in and blocks for Aquadart, then it receives a buff of 75 strength, thus making it 150 strength overall. So Lavrock is now dealing 145 damage to Dumols' 150 strength. Dumols will survive with 5 health remaining. In the end, Dumols and Lavrock will both end up exhausted. In the end, both these creatures will remain on the field, however they will both be exhausted. Dumols will be at 5 health remaining, and Lavrock will be at its full 145 health. At the end of each turn, every creature on the field fully restores itself. Picture we have a real-time scenario here. Here we have Lavrock versus Aquadart and Dumols. Lavrock declares the attack against Aquadart. However, Dumols is fast enough and sees the attack. As soon as Dumols sees the attack, it steps in, and by the time it gets there, Lavrock is mid-attack. This is the purpose as to why the blocking creature always becomes exhausted at the point of attack. As soon as the attacker attacks the blocking creature is already exhausted, because it uses its agility to get in front of the original target.
So in closing, you can use your actions to take the aggressive approach or sit back and plot tactical strategies using your creature's agility. This system means every combat is a decision, not just math. Strategy beats strength. I hope this video helped you learn just a little bit more about Elekin TCG and the ins and outs of our combat mechanic. We really feel that this is one of the most innovative takes on combat in the TCG space today. If you liked the video and are excited to continue learning more about Elekin, please feel free to subscribe here and sign up to be notified on our Kickstarter so you won't miss out on any of the action here. See you in the next one. Peace.